Okay, let's talk about coffee. You know that feeling, right? You're standing in the coffee aisle, staring at a wall of bags, and you feel completely lost. It's got to be one of the most confusing things to buy. Well, today, we're going to change all that. We're going to build a super simple framework so you can walk in there and find beans you will absolutely love. And this, right here, is the heart of the problem. How is it possible that you can buy 2 bags of coffee, they both say medium roast, but one tastes, well, like coffee, and the other is one of the best things you've ever tasted? And don't even get me started on the price difference. What is going on?
I mean, this is the real-world experience, isn't it? You've got your standard $14 bag. It's fine, I guess. It's roasty, it gets the job done. And then you have this other bag. It cost a fortune, but wow, the flavors are incredible. Fruity, complex, just amazing. Both are labeled medium roast, but they are worlds apart.
So, here it is. The single biggest mistake most of us make when buying coffee is looking only at the roast level. If you're just picking between light, medium, or dark, you're basically missing the entire story of what's in that bag. This analogy just nails it. Think about it. You would never buy a car just because it's blue, right? You'd want to know if it's a sports car or a minivan, what kind of engine it has, all the stuff that actually matters. It's the exact same thing with coffee. The roast level is just the paint job. So, if that's not where the flavor comes from, where does it? To figure this out, let's think about it like a pyramid. We're going to start at the very top, the part we think is most important, the roast, and then we're going to work our way all the way down to the foundation, to what really creates the taste in your cup. And this right here is a huge mind shift. The roaster's job isn't to create flavor out of thin air, it's to unlock the potential that's already hidden inside the green coffee bean. You know, a great roaster can't make a bad bean taste good, but a bad roaster can definitely ruin a great one. They can only work with what's already there. So as the roaster applies heat, it's not just cooking. It's this beautiful, complex dance of chemistry. First, water steams out of the bean. Then you get the Maillard reaction. That's the same magic that makes toast and seared steak smell so incredible. Sugars start to caramelize, adding sweetness. And if you keep going, you get pyrolysis, which starts breaking the bean down and gives you those really intense, classic roasty flavors of a dark roast. It's a whole process. So, what about that huge price difference we talked about? Well, take a look here. The cost of actually roasting the coffee, the machines, the labor, it's pretty much the same across the board. The thing that really drives the price up or down is the raw material, the green bean itself. Specialty roasters are paying way more for higher quality green coffee. That's the real difference. All right, let's go deeper down the pyramid. We're moving below roasting now. We're going to look at all the things that happen to the bean before it even shows up at the roastery. Honestly, this is where the magic really begins. Okay, you're going to start seeing this word on coffee bags all the time. Processing. It sounds technical, but all it means is how they get the seed, which is the coffee bean, out of the little fruit it grows in, called a coffee cherry. And believe me, the way they do this has a massive impact on how the coffee tastes. And it's pretty wild how different methods create such different results. With a washed coffee, they strip all the fruit off before they dry the bean. That tends to give you a really clean, bright, crisp cup. But with a natural process, they dry the bean inside the whole fruit so it soaks up all those fruity sugars. The result? A much fruitier, wilder, sometimes even wine-like flavor. 2 completely different worlds. And it gets even cooler. Producers are always experimenting. You've got the honey process, which is somewhere in between washed and natural. And then you get into some really wild stuff like anaerobic fermentation, where they ferment the coffee without oxygen to create these incredibly complex, funky flavors. These are all things to look for if you want to explore. Okay, another term you'll see everywhere: single origin. It's simple, really. It just means all the coffee in that bag came from one specific traceable place, one farm, one cooperative. It's not a mix from all over. This lets you taste the unique character of that one single spot on the map. And the opposite of a single origin, of course, is a blend. That's just a mix of beans from different places. Now, in the specialty world, roasters do this to create a unique, balanced flavor profile. In the mass market world, it's usually done for consistency, so that a Starbucks Pike Place roast tastes the same in Seattle as it does in Miami year after year. So here's a little pro tip for you. When you're starting out and trying to figure out what you like, stick with single origin coffees. It just makes things easier. When you drink a blend, it's kind of hard to tell which flavor is coming from which bean. With a single origin, what you're tasting is the pure expression of that one coffee. And finally, we've reached the very bottom of our pyramid, the plant itself. Almost all the good coffee you're ever going to buy is the Arabica species. It's more delicate, more expensive to grow, but the flavor is way more complex and sweet. Robusta, on the other hand, is cheaper, has a lot more caffeine, but generally tastes harsh and bitter. That's why it mostly ends up in instant coffee or cheap blends.
All right, so we've gone through all the theory. We've deconstructed where flavor comes from. Now for the fun part. Let's put it all together. This is your practical toolkit, your game plan for going out and finding coffee that you'll actually be excited to wake up for.
Here it is, your 3-step plan to coffee freedom. Number 1, taste coffees side by side. Seriously, you don't need a fancy vocabulary, just brew 2 different kinds and you will immediately know which one you prefer. Number 2, and this is my favorite, go to a good local roaster and just ask them for their 2 most different coffees. Tasting the extremes is the fastest way to learn what you love. And number 3, when you find a coffee you absolutely adore, look at the bag. Use that info, the origin, the process, as a treasure map to find your next favorite coffee.
So now, instead of just looking for a medium roast, you can look for a naturally processed Ethiopian or a washed Colombian. You actually understand the story behind what you're drinking. The world of coffee is so much bigger and more exciting than you probably thought. So really, the only question left is, what are you going to go discover next?